extend my warm welcome to all members from print and electronic media. I also thank friends from press for their presence here and continuous support to Apollo Hospitals in creating awareness about Apollo's clinical excellence and clinical outcome. Our Managing Director, Mrs. Sunita Reddy, will be joining shortly here, and I welcome our Managing Director, Mrs. Sunita Reddy, for this occasion. And Apollo Hospital Chennai made history in this part of the world a few weeks back by successfully treating newborn baby with vein of Galen and aneurysmal malformation of the brain. Timely intervention by neuroendovascular embolization by our medical specialist saved tiny newborn baby life. This path-breaking procedure was performed by Dr. Srinivasan Paramasivam, Senior Consultant Neurosurgery and Neurointerventional Radiology, and also Clinical Director of Apollo Neuroendovascular Program. I am very pleased to welcome Dr. Srinivasan Paramasivam. This would not have been possible without a multidisciplinary team approach. I welcome Dr. Meena and Dr. Radha Senthil, Consultant Pediatrician and NICUT. And I also welcome Dr. Anuradha, Consultant Pediatric Cardiologist and her team. And I also welcome Dr. Rajagopal, Pediatric Anesthesia team, and Dr. Sumana Manogar, Consultant Gynecologist and Obstetrics, and her team, and all the nursing staff, technicians who supported the care of this precious baby. Her name is Sakti, and I am also very greatly pleased to welcome parents of baby Shakti, Mr. and Mrs. Thuyavan. I also welcome senior administrators, CEO, and other senior members from marketing department, all the members who are coordinating this event. And Apollo Hospital is a well-known center, not just in India, across the globe, in all the specialties. And neuroscience is one such specialty where we perform all spectrum of procedures, and the procedure specifically done for this baby is one such unique and 1 in 2 million or 3 million anomalies found in a baby, and which has been treated successfully. I don't think this procedure is done in many countries, and only in Western world it is done. And this is something unique about Apollo, that Apollo brings international standard of care to every individual of our patient in our country. That is our chairman's vision, and this is one testimony that we have done once again this for the patients of our country, and we are really proud of it. And once again, I welcome all of you for this function, and I really I'm very thankful to the media friends to create awareness among the public that the service we provide, and also the patients not only in India, across this part of the world, they will benefit out of the service available here, clinical expertise we have. And so thank you once again for all the members from media, and with that I conclude my welcome speech. Thank you.
This platform where we can perform such wonderful procedures and take it to greater heights, as it is being done in the highest standard in any part of the world. Today, I would like to thank our media friends over here. We are delighted to share our views on this particular malformation which we have done, and I would just go into the details of the case and tell you in more simple terms what it means and what we have achieved. Vein of Galen aneurysmal malformation is a very rare vascular malformation of the brain, and it is seen in only about 1 in 3 million births. It is not that common, and most people, most pediatricians, if you ask, in their lifetime, they would have come across such disease maybe once in their whole career. Okay, and some of them may not have even come across. It is so rare. And to save these babies, the treatment has not evolved for many, many years. Recently, we have had more progress in this disease as the neuroendovascular or the neurointervention type of treatment has progressed, and we are able to treat it more effectively. Just to make you understand what it means is that, just look at that picture. Normally an artery comes, it divides into multiple branches, into capillaries, and from the capillaries the blood supplies energy, nutrition, oxygen to the tissue. Then the blood goes back into the vein. The red one is the artery, the blue one is the vein. That is a normal disposition. Whereas you see in the picture down, there is an abnormal connection. Welcome, ma'am. Good morning. The vein. This abnormal connection, we call it as a shunt, where the blood from the arterial side, which is a high flow system, just flows into the venous side, and because of this, the blood goes back into the heart, has to keep beating much faster and faster to keep up the blood supply to the normal tissue. So that is what a shunt means. A vein of Galen malformation is such a shunt happening in the brain, and it's not happening on the surface, it's happening deep core and core in the brain. The arrow points to where the malformation is. Next. And these children, without treatment, about 80% of them would die. In the past, we had no treatment for this. In the late 80s and early 90s, that's when, even in the Western world, first in France and then in the United States, the treatment started evolving. And even those treatments were designed to treat children more later in life, say like 6 months, 1 year, they were treating more successfully, but in a newborn, treating them is a nightmare even today. Even in the United States, successful treatment of these vein of Gallen's in newborn is a nightmare. How do we find this? These vein of Gallen malformations are found antenatally in most situations. When they do an ultrasound, as you know, we do an ultrasound at 12 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, that's when we find it. Much earlier, it will be very difficult to find. Most of them are found relatively late, that is in the 28th week scan or 30th week scan. Here in our situation, our baby was found to have this malformation at about 30 weeks, and they reached out to me, say around 34 weeks of pregnancy. Next slide, please. And we brought the mother in because the safest way to transfer, till the mother is within the womb, nothing happens. Practically, the heart pumping of the mother's heart is strong enough, and the baby does not go into a failure. And this is an MRI that was done when the baby was inside the mother's tummy, and as you can see here, we could see the malformation. We had the opportunity to study the malformation, and we studied it in detail, and we knew what we are going to deal with. And this gave us an opportunity to plan our treatment right from delivery, right from birth, how we can take it forward. And then the next thing we did was we put forward a team. Next, yeah. So we made sure the delivery and our neonatal ICU team, we spoke with them and we told them what are the things we need and how they need to be geared up, and they were on target and they got to the mark. And our pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Anuradha and team, they were geared up to handle the baby's heart as soon as the baby was born. Dr. Rajagopal, our pediatric anesthesiologist, I had a detailed discussion with him about various options. If I am to do the procedure, how are we to prepare, and what are the things, gadgets we need. There are certain things which we have to arrange pre-hand and get it ready. So I had a detailed discussion with each one of the team members, and we had a combined discussion and we planned our moves. And this planning was critical to successful treatment of this baby. Next. So the baby was delivered, and as smooth, the initial Apgar scores were pretty good, and the baby was moved to the neonatal ICU. What happens with these malformations is that the heart of the baby initially copes up quite well. About 48 hours down the lane, 48 to 72 hours, it's the time the baby will start sinking down, because the heart will not be able to pump any further. Because the blood is flowing between the heart and the brain, and it is circulating and it overloads the lungs. The rest of the body does not receive blood supply. So what happens is, next slide please, the baby goes in for multi-organ dysfunction. So this is the MRI we did. Next, yeah. This is the MRI we did to study the malformation after the baby was born, and we knew exactly what we are dealing with and how we are going to manage this disease. Next slide. So at about 48 hours, because of this high flow within the brain, the heart was not able to cope up. Our pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Anuradha, was trying her best with various medications, and then she called me and said, "Oh, look, we can't handle this any further with just medications, we need to do something more." And subsequent to the heart failure, what happens? The lung is flooded. Lung, when it is flooded with fluid, the lung can't function. And the liver started failing, the kidney started failing, and the baby's lactate level went up. And that's when we decided that we need to embolize to stop the flow in the brain. That's when we can save this baby. Without treatment in such situation, about 80 to 90% of the babies would not make it. Next. So we took the baby up for the procedure. This is in the cath lab. Our neonatal team brought the baby safely, handed over to us. Next. And the baby was positioned, intubated, and everything was prepared as per plan. We accessed the umbilical artery. See here, these babies have very small blood vessels. When we puncture them, the blood vessel gets destroyed, and we will not be able to access that blood vessel again. So we planned it ahead of time that as soon as the baby was born, to save the umbilical artery. Umbilical artery is actually the தொப்புள் கொடியில் இருக்க இரத்த குழாய். அதாவது குழந்தையும் அம்மாவையும் சேர்க்கிற அந்த இரத்த குழாயை வந்து preserve பண்ணிருந்தோம். We preserve the umbilical artery in the placenta, and we put a catheter so that we can use it for the procedure. So we access through the umbilical artery, and we put a catheter through that, and through that we put a microcatheter. So this is the access we created. As you can see here, the lower catheter, the smaller one, is actually the catheter to access through the umbilical artery, and the கழுத்து பகுதியில் இருந்து வருது, the upper one, is actually the catheter where we access through the jugular vein to have an access to the heart. I will just get to that point next. So these are the pictures of embolization. Heart, a pacing catheter. What does this pacing catheter do is, it paces the heart much faster. This is a newer, novel technology that we combined here to have a safe embolization. We pace the heart about 300 times, 300 beats per minute, so that the cardiac output, the heart pumping effect, is reduced transiently for about 20-30 seconds. That's when the flow to the malformation is slower and we are able to embolize safely. Next. So here we started the procedure. As you can see here, we put the microcatheter all the way up in the brain, and the flow was really fast. And we couldn't control the flow. To reduce the flow, next, our pediatric cardiologist and anesthesiologist, Dr. Rajagopal and Dr. Anuradha together, they pace the heart. That is, they increase the rate of the heart to about 300, so that the entire outflow, the blood flow in the whole body of the baby, was stopped transiently for about 20-30 seconds. And I used that opportunity of that 20-30 seconds to embolize successfully at exactly the point where I want to embolize. And we stop the flow permanently in that malformation in the brain. Next. Yeah, this is how the embolization grows. As you can see, this is a schematic picture which shows we put a microcatheter all the way up to the point where it joins that malformation. And then next slide, we pace the heart to reduce the flow. Next. And then we injected what is called super glue. This is practically a glue that we use in our day-to-day life, but it is medically prepared and it is mixed with poppy seed oil to make it visible for us. And this is medically prepared, and it acts instantaneously to form a clot within that region and stops the flow. Next. Yeah, this is how that glue works. As you can see here, it forms a mushroom right at the point where we inject, and small bit into the vein. That is when it is perfectly sealed. Next. So this is the actual pictures of the procedure that we have done. You can see we have put the microcatheter all the way up, and the contrast we are injecting. One more problem here in these newborn babies is that we can't inject a lot of contrast. We can't inject in adults. Our body size is big. We can inject a lot of contrast. The total contrast material, contrast is actually the dye we inject to see the picture, right? So only a certain amount of contrast we can inject. We finished the entire procedure with just 18 ml of contrast. and you can see we have injected glue. 2 embolization procedures were done to successfully treat this malformation. Next. So this is the angiogram at the end of the procedure. Next. So what exactly happens as we also reduce and the heart starts breathing and starts easing out and starts pumping more effectively so that the blood can go to other organs. Next. And this is the baby right after the procedure. We extubated and we brought the baby back to neonatal ICU, and we were quite happy, and we are pretty sure the baby is going to make a dramatic and a very good recovery, and that's what the baby did. Next. So this is in 10 days the baby made a dramatic recovery. All the heart failure, liver failure, lung failure, everything went away. The baby was happy, and the baby was discharged on the 10th day of birth.
Thank you for being here for this, for me, a very emotional event, because babies have always been special, and when we started this children's hospital, we wanted to do something very special for babies, because we believe they are the future of our country. And every time you save a child's life, you contribute to the country because they grow up to be healthy adults. And this is why the work that the doctors, the nurses, and all the staff at Apollo Children's Hospital have done. They have really given their best to save the lives of these children. I've seen the slide presentation, and I'm sure all of you have seen it. There's really some very remarkable work. And if I'm not wrong, this is probably the second time in the world and the first in India that it's been done. So my hearty congratulations to the entire team, Dr. Parmasivan, Dr. Anuradha, Dr. Sumana, Dr. Meena, Dr. Rajgopal, and Dr. Hemlata for the wonderful work that you've done. And if you look at the body of work, really it's very important to understand why we were successful. I think part of it is early screening. And we have a team of wonderful radiologists, and I think for the gynecologists, etc., to talk about early screening is very important. And in today's scenario, it's early screening not only for children, not only for babies, but for adults as well. This is where we can really help to save lives. I think the other distinguishing factor that really helped in saving this child's life is the beautiful way the team orchestrated to come together. From probably the mother with Dr. Sumana, and then Dr. Meena, and then Dr. Anuradha, Dr. Hemlata, Rajgopal, and of course Dr. Parmasivan. I think if these people had not really worked together and they had looked after and said, this is my work and this is my work and this is what I do, we wouldn't have had this success. We always can do alone, but together there is so much more. And I think this is proof of this. What Apollo provides is also the technology to make it happen. Whether it was as simple as we saved this child, or an ECMO that Dr. Anuradha has always asked us for, it's we are there to provide the latest in medical technology, because in the end of the day we are saving a child's life. If you look at the minimum development goals, this has become a huge priority to see that infant mortality is something that we focus on. And while many people look at it in the context of this is what WHO recommends, at Apollo, every child we save is not a statistic. It's something that has great meaning and great depth for us, because it is, after all, a human life. So, thank you all. I think this afternoon is a tribute to human life. It's a tribute for those who gave this child an opportunity to grow up to be a healthy adult. I thank you all. Thank you.
Doctor. Wait. கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி ஹைட் கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி வாங்க.
Just down and just touch the baby.
This was, we are already in a tougher situation of Corona and all those things. And this was one happy moment that we were awaiting in our life, and it started to turn not bad, but kind of ugly. And we were worried at one point. We were not able to find a doctor who could do this procedure or who has done this procedure in India at least. So, okay. Since nobody's near me. Okay, so like I was saying, we even not just me, I'm a just layman, but then my gynecologist and a lot of other doctors in my family circles and everywhere around, we had a lot of contacts. So even each and every single person was searching for a doctor who has done this procedure or who can give us hope. But we were not able to find a doctor in India, at least, who has done this procedure on a newborn or similar things. So we were a bit worried at one point, but then, bless the God and bless us. We had contacts abroad, and one of our contacts from US, he referred to a doctor called Dr. Alejandro Berenstein in New York. So that was the first person I made, and the response that I got from him, that response spoke a lot for Dr. Srinivas, I guess. So the only word that Dr. Alejandro Berenstein told me was, you can just go to him and he'll take care of the rest. You need not get worried. And even before I could make a call to Dr. Srinivas, I got a call from his secretary, and doctor spoke to me directly, and we discussed a lot. He was very kind to explain to me what was the problem in a layman's term, because until then it was all medical terms and all those things. So better, I guess not better, at least starting to get some hope. And then 2 weeks from the day we diagnosed the baby with Wing of Gallant, we stepped into the compounds of Apollo, and we met Dr. Srinivas directly, and it was maybe 10 minutes talk. I think that's it. It wouldn't be more than 10 minutes, but in that 10 minutes, when I was stepping out of the doctor's room, I was, no longer worried or anything, because I know a doctor cannot give you 100% hope, but there is something beyond hope. There is the trust that you can get from a doctor, because doctors cannot do magic, but they can do what they can. And the nursing staff, Revati, and no, I cannot give a single name. There's a whole set of names. I know this places. I cannot take a lot of time, but even for the people I left, there's a whole set of team. Each and every single person, even from I don't know the name of the housekeeping staff who was on the left. She was the one I was seeing daily, and even the hope that she gave me was a lot. And the day came for the procedure. I guess we were planning for the procedure to be maybe after 5-6 months if the baby is stable, but then, like doctor said, her name is Shakti, and she was like, I got other jobs to do. I cannot wait for 6 months. Let me get this done with, and let me go and do my other duties. So she was ready for the surgery in 48 hours. I wouldn't say she was getting weaker so that she needed surgery, but she was strong enough to say, I can take the surgery on in 48 hours, and I need not wait for 6 months. And Dr. Srinivas and Dr. Ranata ma'am and Rajagopal sir, they all did a magic as far as I can know, but magic is not the right word, because this is medicine, this is science. You cannot just settle the words of medicine and science with the words of magic, but it was kind of magic to us. And the minute Dr. Meena Tyagarajan stepped out of the OT, the words that she told me was, she was humbled. It's very rare to hear a doctor say that you are humble, because, you know, I have seen a lot of doctors who say, even if they don't know stuff, they would say, you know I can do this, I can do that. But when a doctor says, the life is more important than saying what I know and what I don't, that's very rare to find a doctor who can do that. And Dr. Meena is one such a person, you know. Whenever me or Sangeeta felt little stepped down, or whenever we felt like little sleepless at nights, there was one time after discharge, I know I'm getting too long and taking too much of time, but then I have to say this. There was one night after we got discharged, and the baby was a little bit cranky that night, and she was vomiting and all those things. We were a little worried, and I was about to take my phone and make a call to NICU, but then, sorry, before I could make a call to NICU, I got a call from Dr. Meena. I don't know if she knows that, but it was a coincidence, and there was twice that she called me, and both the times we were about to call NICU. And that's a coincidence, but that's the kind of wave that, you know, that has got between me and Apollo here. And there's one more thing that I would like to say, if I'm not taking more time. That's something that I already mentioned to a couple of people who I spoke. There is a view from outside that Apollo is expensive. Yeah. But as far as I can see, when I stepped into the commons of Apollo, I saw a lot of people who were, you know, I wouldn't say they were super rich or something. I saw people who were from faraway places, who were, you know, maybe middle class or less than that, but they got their treatments, they got their parents' who had treatments here. Apollo is trying to bring in what, you know, in medicine, in the world of medicine, there are medicines and there are treatments that are unreachable to the common public, but I would say Apollo is trying to bring them to the common people. Yes. I don't know, I would be talking.
Is decided by the severity of the disease. If the heart is able to go up, even here, yes, we would wait. That's the option I gave the family. But if the heart was failing and the other organs, see what happens is, this is a high flow, right? The heart is trying to pump blood to every part of the body. And the vasculatory is a closed system. Water will finish right now, and the blood to that comes back to the heart. So whenever the blood is coming back to the heart has to pump. And the heart is overworking to just circumvent that and trying to bring blood to other organs. So when the other organs start failing, that is when we have to close this hole. If we don't close this hole, the other organs will subsequently fail and we will not be able to save the baby. So the severity of the disease decides the time. In the West, what happens? They follow the same protocol. If emergently needs to be done in the newborn period, yes, we do it. In the newborn period, it's a very high risk proposition because the baby is so small. The blood vessels are so thin. And we don't have a lot of leeway to use contrast, study everything. No, we have to be on target, we have to be so precise, and we have to be very meticulous. That is the difference it makes.
Also, you have to decide and give that least
Correct. Correct. See, the challenging here is not just 2 days old. A 2 days old baby whose heart is failing, whose lung is failing, liver, kidney, everything is failing, and we have to do a procedure. That's what makes it more challenging. So in that sense, yes, anesthetists have their challenge. We as interventional neurosurgeons, we can only use like say 20 to 25 ml of contrast material. Contrast, for example, for us to do an angiogram or a CT angio, they use 60 ml of contrast, they will inject. But in a baby, for the total procedure, from the beginning till the end, I can only use about 20 to 25 ml of contrast. In this baby, we finished in 60 ml. Otherwise, the kidney will fail. Already failing kidney, we will be putting contrast, the kidney will shut down. So there are so many challenges. Gaining access to the vasculatory, getting into the blood vessels itself is a challenge. So every little bit is a challenge, and we plan accordingly so that we are able to circumvent these challenges and achieve our target. Came into my office, I told him clearly what this disease means, okay, and how we can treat this and what are all the possibilities. That is what gave him the confidence. See, most people, unfortunately this is so rare, Not many doctors have any experience with this. And he tried Googling and tried to gather as much information. That doesn't give you a concrete information. So the confidence I gave him was, this disease is this, and these are the treatment options, and this is what we are going to plan for your baby. When I gave the plan, he was so confident and he felt more relaxed. We have used a novel technique to do it more successfully. People have tried in the past, okay? But here, we have access through the umbilical artery. So far, nobody has access through the umbilical artery, and then they have not done a cardiac pacing to precisely do the embolization. So combining a cardiac pacing with embolization is something unique, and we have done it for the first time.
Doctor, on the procedure சொல்லும்போது சொன்னீங்க, if you can explain it in a much more layman terms, it will help for us to explain to our readers as well. Because the 300 beats per minute heart rate on the increase. So normally one would assume that when the heart rate increases, the pumping of blood will be more. But you said that the flow of blood.
Heart, for it to effectively pump blood, it needs some time. That is, it has to contract nicely to squeeze the blood out, and then it has to relax to receive blood. And if that time is too short, what will happen is the heart, instead of pumping like this, it will start pumping like this. You understand? So it will not have an effective pumping to drive the blood out. So when we pace it beyond 200, 250, 300, what happens is the heart will only flutter. Heart will only move like this. It will not be able to pump it. That is when the flow is reduced. And we can't keep the heart doing this for a long time. So we can only have a window of say 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and that's the opportunity we use to embolize.
So you have to do the whole procedure within that 30 seconds?
Not really. We do the catheterization, we do the injection, we check, and then we take our time. We make sure that at the time where I am putting the super glue, right at that spot, that is the time we will pace and we will reduce the flow. That window is only 20 to 30 seconds. The whole procedure took like 4-5 hours for us to set up the baby, have access, and then to complete the procedure, extubate the baby, took about 4 to 5 hours.
So you get a catheter, one here through the umbilical cord and one through the jugular vein.
Correct.
So you do under the pacing of heart to the cardiac. How does that work?
Yeah. See, we are gaining access to the brain
Okay.
from the lower portion. That is, you have the main blood vessel coming from the heart, supplying the rest of the body, right? So through the umbilical artery, we access what is called the aorta, and from the aorta, we went into the brain vessels. Okay, this track is different.
Okay.
And then from the vein side, this is the arterial side. Arterial side is the pure blood coming out of the heart. Vein side is the bad blood coming back to the heart. So we access the vein here. From the brain, the vein is coming down to the heart. So we access that vein and then put the pacing catheter into the right ventricle. Right side, you have the bad blood coming. So these are two different parts. There are certain vascular malformations very rarely in the brain are genetic, but this is congenital, not genetic. If one baby is affected by this disease, the next baby need not be affected. So this is not genetically transmitted from one generation to another. Very, very rarely we have seen genetic predisposition even in this disease, but that is very, very rare. I was trained for these kind of vascular procedures of brain in Columbia University in New York, and I worked at Mount Sinai Hospital for about 5 years as a faculty. I worked with the senior most surgeons there and more experienced people, and I worked with them as a colleague, and then I returned back to join Apollo Hospital. Yeah, this baby was born by a cesarean section because here in this situation we can't allow the baby to strain and come out. So baby has to be delivered under a controlled situation. That's why we plan and did a cesarean section.
ரேரான ஒரு ப்ரொசீஜர். மூளையில் ரத்த குழாயில் நமக்கு நார்மலாக மூளைக்கு போகிற ரத்த குழாய் வந்து ஆர்ட்ரி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். மூளையிலேருந்து ரத்தத்தை வெளியே கொண்டு வர ரத்த குழாய் வெயின் சொல்லுவோம். அந்த ஆர்ட்ரிக்கும் வெயினுக்கும் நடுவில் கேப்லரி அப்படின்னு சின்ன சின்ன நெட்வொர்க் வெசல்ஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த ரத்த குழாயெல்லாம் இல்லாமல் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக ஆர்ட்ரியிலேருந்து வெயினுக்கு ஒரு அப்நார்மல் கனெக்ஷன் இருக்கிறது தான் ஃபிஸ்டுலான்னு சொல்லுவோம். இந்த ஃபிஸ்டுலா ஒரு பிறக்கிற குழந்தைக்கு டெவலப் ஆனால் அதை வந்து அதனால பிளட் வந்து நிறைய ஒரு ஆர்ட்ரியிலேருந்து வெயினுக்கு ஷண்ட் ஆகும். அந்த மாதிரி அதிகப்படியான ரத்த ஓட்டம் ஜாஸ்தி ஆகிறனால என்ன ஆகும், ஹார்ட்னால கோப்பப் பண்ண முடியாது. ஹார்ட் வந்து முடிஞ்ச அளவு பம்ப் பண்ணி பார்க்கும். ஹார்ட்டால் கோப்ப பண்ண முடியாட்டி ஹார்ட் ஃபெயில் ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சிடும். ஹார்ட் ஃபெயில் ஆச்சு அப்படின்னா மற்ற உறுப்புகளுக்கெல்லாம் வந்து ரத்த ஓட்டம் சரியாக இருக்காது. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் லங்ஸுக்கு ரத்த ஓட்டம் சரியாக இருக்காது, லங்ஸில் வந்து நீர் கோர்த்துரும். அப்புறம் வந்து லிவருக்கு ரத்த ஓட்டம் சரியாக இருக்காது, கிட்னிக்கு ரத்த ஓட்டம் சரியாக இருக்காது. அந்த மாதிரிலாம் மற்ற ஆர்கன்ஸ் எல்லாமே ஃபெயில் ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சிடும். இந்த ஸ்டேஜில் நம்ம மூளையில் இருக்க அந்த அப்நார்மல் கனெக்ஷன், அதாவது இது வெயின் ஆஃப் கேலன் மால்ஃபர்மேஷன் சொல்லுவோம், அந்த அப்நார்மல் கனெக்ஷனை நம்ம க்ளோஸ் பண்ணலை அப்படின்னா குழந்தைய காப்பாற்றவே முடியாது. ஸோ அந்த ப்ரொசீஜரும் நம்ம எந்த டைமில் அந்த பேபிக்கு தேவைப்படுது, எந்த பர்டிகுலர் டைமில் ஹார்ட்லாம் ஃபெயில் ஆகுது, மற்ற ஆர்கன்ஸ் ஃபெயில் ஆகுதுன்னு கரெக்டாக நோட்டீஸ் பண்ணி அந்த பர்டிகுலர் டைமில் நம்ம வந்து கரெக்டாக போய் அந்த ஹோலை சீல் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னா தான் இந்த குழந்தையை காப்பாற்ற முடியும். இந்த ப்ரொசீஜர் வந்து ஏன் ரொம்ப காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் அப்படின்னா, இது ஒரு பச்சிளம் குழந்தைக்கு, அதாவது பிறந்த 48 மணி நேரமே ஆன ஒரு குழந்தைக்கு வந்து ரத்த குழாய் வந்து ரொம்ப ஃப்ரெஜைலாக, ரொம்ப தின்னாக, அதுக்கு வந்து அதோட வால்லாம் வந்து ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்காலாம் இருக்காது. நம்ம வந்து ரொம்ப மெட்டிகுலஸாக அந்த குழந்தைக்கு வந்து அந்த மூளையில் இருக்க ரத்த குழாய்க்குள்ள ஒரு கேத்தட்டர், அதாவது சின்ன நம்ம ஹேர் சைஸ் தான் இருக்கும், அந்த கேத்தட்டரை போட்டு அந்த கேத்தட்டர் வழியாக நம்ம டை இன்ஜெக்ட் பண்ணி கரெக்ட் பொசிஷன் எல்லாம் செக் பண்ணிட்டு அந்த இடத்துல எக்ஸாக்டாக அந்த ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் லொக்கேஷனில் நம்ம வந்து க்ளூ, அதாவது சூப்பர் க்ளூன்னு ஒரு ஸ்பெஷல் சப்ஸ்டன்ஸ் இருக்குது, அதை வச்சு நம்ம அந்த ரத்த குழாயை பிளாக் பண்ணணும். அந்த மாதிரி பிளாக் பண்ணால் தான் அந்த குழந்தைய வந்து காப்பாற்ற முடியும். ஸோ இந்த ப்ரொசீஜர் அந்த மாதிரி தான் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். அண்ட் இந்த ப்ரொசீஜருக்கு வந்து நிறைய சப்போர்ட் சிஸ்டம் தேவைப்படுது. அதாவது பிறந்த குழந்தைய வந்து ஃபஸ்ட்டு இனிஷியலாக அசஸ் பண்ணி அவங்கள ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஒரு 24-48 ஹவர்ஸ்க்கு அவங்கள காப்பாற்றி அதுக்கப்புறம் அதுக்கு உண்டான எம்ஆர்ஐ ஸ்கேன் எல்லாம் பண்ணி அதுக்கு உண்டான ப்ரிப்பரேஷன்ஸ் எல்லாமே பண்ணணும். அண்ட் இதில் என்ன ஸ்பெஷல்னா இந்த ப்ரொசீஜரில் நாங்கள் வந்து கார்டியாக் பேசிங்னு வேறு பண்ணியிருக்கோம். கார்டியாக் பேசிங் வந்து ஹார்ட்டை வந்து ரேட்டை வந்து 300 லெவலுக்கு கூட்டிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா ஹார்ட் எஃபெக்டிவாக பம்ப் பண்ண முடியாது. பிளட் ஃப்ளோ ஒரு டிரான்சியண்ட்டாக ஒரு 20-30 செகண்டுக்கு வந்து பிளட் ஃப்ளோ வந்து குறையும். அந்த மாதிரி பிளட் ஃப்ளோ குறையிற டைமில் நம்ம அங்கே வந்து எம்பலைசேஷன் போட்டோம்னா கரெக்டாக நம்ம போடுற அந்த சூப்பர் க்ளூ வந்து கரெக்டாக அந்த பொசிஷனில் ஸ்டே ஆகி நம்ம எஃபெக்டிவான அந்த எம்பலைசேஷன் ப்ரொசீஜரை வந்து கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ணிடலாம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி எக்ஸாக்டாக பிளான் பண்ணி எக்ஸிக்யூட் பண்ணனால தான் இது வந்து ரொம்ப ரேர் அண்ட் டிஃபிகல்ட் ப்ரொசீஜர். அண்ட் அந்த ப்ரொசீஜர் முடிஞ்ச உடனே பேபியை வந்து எக்ஸ்டுபேட், அதாவது மூச்சு குழாய்க்கு போட்டு அந்த டியூப் எல்லாத்தையும் வெளியே எடுத்துட்டு அடுத்த 48 ஹவர்ஸில் பேபியோட ஹார்ட்லாம் இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆக ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு. அப்புறம் மற்ற ஆர்கன்ஸ் எல்லாம் ரெக்கவர் ஆகி ஒரு 10 நாளில் குழந்தைய வந்து சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக வீட்டுக்கு அனுப்பிட்டோம். அந்த பேபி இப்போ வந்து 34 நாள் ஆகுது, 34 நாட்கள் ஆகுது. அந்த பேபி இஸ் டூயிங் வெரி வெல். அண்ட் பீரியாடிக்காக அந்த பேபியும் இன்னும் ஒரு 6 months 1 yearக்கு ஃபாலோ பண்ணிட்டு இருப்போம். அந்த பேபி வி வில் see the baby grow up and lead a normal life.